of Women. Dr. Kim is currently the president of the Center for Asia-Pacific Women in Politics. May we now welcome our dutiful and generous president of CAPWIP to welcome us all. Doctor.
Sorry, I'm taller than she. Ladies and gentlemen, and very important guests, and my dear colleagues, parliamentarians, and women leaders participating in the Third Global Congress of Women in Politics and Governance, it's a great pleasure for me to make this welcoming message on behalf of Center for Asia-Pacific Women in Politics, the hosting organization of this very meaningful event in the history of women in politics and governance. And I welcome all of you here, and thank you for your being here. Your presence here today heartens us and makes all our effort worthwhile to make this event successful for all of us. We hope we'll all go back home securely in our commitment to do something, especially in the areas of policy and legislation necessary to galvanize our peoples for action. CAPWIP started with 13 members from 9 countries: Thailand, Pakistan, Singapore, Japan, Korea, Papua New Guinea, Australia, United States, and the Philippines. Faced with no funding support to organize the first ever Asia-Pacific Congress of Women in Politics, CAPWIP decided to go for broke by writing to 2,000 women across Asia-Pacific, expressing the hope there must be other women among these 2,000 who think like them, and if at least 10% of these women will come to attend the planned Congress, CAPWIP can begin its advocacy with their support. 237 women from 23 countries came, most of them using their own funds. Thus, the first Asia-Pacific Congress of Women in Politics was held in Manila on June 21st to 3rd, 1994. The Congress addressed the theme, "Why Women, What Politics?" raising 4 issues. What is politics? Why should women be involved in politics? What kind of politics do women want to be involved in? What should we do to develop this kind of politics and build women's participation? The Congress endorsed CAPWIP and its role as a non-profit, non-stock organization dedicated to the promotion of women in public power, politics, and decision-making, and affirmed CAPWIP's transformative perspective, transformation of values, processes, and institutions. After a decade of pushing, inspiring and challenging each other to run and occupy the seat of power, women have realized the need to go beyond the game of numbers. To gain a place in the seat of power is only half of the struggle. Societal transformation to a peaceful, just, and gender-fair society with governance that is gender-responsive continues to be the aspiration of women and underpins the global effort to increase women's participation in politics and decision-making. But this vision requires practical actions that take into account the current realities of a rapidly changing world that poses new threats risks as well as opportunities. An understanding of this is vital in defining the path that women should take to overcome the threats, mitigate the risks, and maximize the opportunities. Thus, the 6th Asia-Pacific Congress of Women in Politics and Decision-Making was convened by CAPWIP on February 10 to 12, 2006 in Makati City, Philippines. Although there is a wide array of issues confronting women, 4 eminent concerns in the current global context were taken up during the Congress, namely women's political participation in politics, leadership and decision-making, peace and security, environment, and trade liberalization. The last 3 themes have generally been considered as generic mainstream concerns, but their gender implications have not been adequately explored and await women's active engagement in the discourse and the practice. For example, women have for so long observed that they bear the burdens of war and conflict, yet they are rarely part of the peace negotiations. Women have long felt the need to understand the implication of disasters attributable to climate change in the lives of women and its connection to integral sustainable development. Women have generally been excluded from the discussions despite being the primary victims of climate change and consequent disaster. Ironically, women in many countries have the potential to be the most effective agent for restoring and protecting the environment. Inevitably, women must understand and engage in mainstream issues, and gender must be taken up as part and parcel of these mainstream issues, as they, being the leaders, defined how women can become principal actors as participants and beneficiaries in the analysis and the formulation of problems and their solutions. The ultimate goal remains to be gender justice and gender equality. We decided a year ago to undertake a global congress to understand the gender aspects of climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. Climate change is now emerging as the area of greatest concern in the 21st century. Many people would agree that this problem has assumed crisis status. As IPCC, CNN, and other sources observes, it appears that the scale and the seriousness of climate change is at last being grasped. In 2008, we stand on the brink of a historic consensus, not only between scientists, but in the corridors of political power and in boardrooms across the globe. Speaking after the publication of the report in February 2007, Achim Steiner, head of the UN Environment Program, said that it marks the end point of the debate and that the focus should now shift to policy. If we do not, Steiner continued, the world will be in even deeper trouble than it is today, and the price of not acting will go up with every year that passes. The time is now for nations to make meaningful movement toward policies which confront climate change and reduce risk disaster. The Global Congress will add the missing important ingredient in the debate, gender. Yes, women can contribute to transformative politics with new perspective and leadership in climate change responses and disaster risk reduction. I believe this Congress will provide a turning point in empowering women and mainstreaming gender in climate change responses and disaster risk reduction. And I look forward to very lively, fruitful discussion. Thank you again for your being here. Let us begin. Thank you.